Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I would like to take the opportunity to share with you some findings about financial literacy. So first, I have a quiz for you. I'm not sure if it's a good idea because I only have 10 minutes. So let's do it very quickly. So here are the 3 questions people usually commonly use to evaluate the individual's financial knowledge level. So first, do you think the single company stock will be safer than stock mutual fund? Second, if you have $100, interest rate is 2%. After 5 years, do you think you will have more than 102, exactly 102, or less than 102? And the third question is about inflation, actually. So assume the interest rate is 1%, inflation is 2%. And after 1 year, you will be able to buy more, exactly the same, or less than today. And here I have the correct answer for you. Correct answer is highlighted in blue. Not that hard, right? I think you will get 100%, okay? So let's see the reality in the United States, okay? So here I summarize the correct ratio for the same 3 questions done in different surveys targeting at different age group conducted in different years. So overall, the big picture we have is financial illiteracy is widespread in the US. The first question, very simple, but only half of them got it right. And the second and third question is better, but still a large portion of the respondents cannot get the correct answer. Okay, so this is about financial knowledge. Let's look at the second component of financial literacy, financial behavior. Actually, I would say it's worse. So we have low saving rate today. Average US household has a large amount of debt. Most Americans do not engage in retirement planning, and every day there are a lot of people filing for bankruptcy. So the economic impact of such financial illiteracy has received increasing public attention. And we have seen a lot of campaigns trying to promote financial literacy. For example, here are some examples I find around us. So sometimes when you drive to school, maybe you hear KBBS radio, we have the financial literacy program there. And it's very easy for us to find some financial literacy information even at the school website. And we even invite the high school students to campus and to offer the one-day financial literacy workshop. So as a researcher for myself, facing all these problems and efforts, I want to ask what we can do to improve the effectiveness of the financial education to promote financial literacy. So, and this is what we have done. I'm a little bit ambitious. I try to summarize the main findings in several studies today within 10 minutes. So first, my co-author and I try to look at financial knowledge. Previous literature mainly look at the link between financial education in the school and knowledge. But there are some problems with this method. First, the empirical results are not conclusive. Some of them find financial education in the school have positive effects on financial knowledge. However, some of them cannot find such significant effects. The second problem is, in the previous literature, a lot of studies don't have some theoretical support for the model for the study. So what we did, we applied the experiential learning theory in education area to financial literacy area. So according to the experiential learning theory, people learn through experience, conceptualization, observation, and they test their financial knowledge through experimentation, which will be a new experience for them. So when we apply that concept to financial literacy, we propose people acquire financial knowledge through experience that will be their own financial experience, investments in stocks and bonds. Conceptualization will be the formal education in school. And also they could observe their parents' behavior and learn financial knowledge. And when we propose the model and test the model using the empirical data, we find all the 3 factors have positive impact on financial knowledge. And especially when financial education in the school is not available, the 2 factors, financial experience and parental influence, will have a very important role in predicting financial knowledge. And then we move on to the second component of financial literacy, that is financial behavior. Because at the end, all that matters is financial behavior. And again, the previous literature, the economic literature, mainly focused on the link between knowledge and behavior. And we find, actually in real life, you know, a lot of people, they know what's the right thing to do, but they don't do it. They have knowledge, they just don't do it. So therefore, we believe financial determinants of financial behavior should be multifaceted, because financial behavior actually stems from the deeply rooted individual characteristics which should be impacted by the social and psychological forces. So what we did first is to add the parental socialization impact. So parental socialization, this concept is a very well-developed concept in consumer behavior, in marketing. However, parental financial socialization is a relatively new concept. So when we add this factor to the model and use the empirical data to test it, we find they're like father, like son. There are intergenerational consistency in the financial behavior. So and actually when we test it, we find parents' behavior affect their children's not only directly, but also indirectly by children's general skill development. For example, when parents have more responsible financial behavior, really? Then their children will be more likely to recognize and develop some self-control skill, which will fundamentally change the financial behavior later. And then the second thing we did is to add the psychological factors. We find psychological factors such as self-esteem, self-discipline could also affect financial behavior. And I must mention this most important, interesting I want to mention today. This is in our most recent study. Actually, my co-author is here, and Andrew Baker from marketing. So we find, actually, there are two dimensions of financial knowledge. One is what we commonly measure, objective financial knowledge. So that's what you actually know. The other dimension people don't talk a lot, that's subjective financial knowledge. That's what you believe you know, and they're not the same. They're not the same. So could be higher, could be lower subjective one versus objective one. And when we focus on the psychological measure, self-esteem, we found the high level of general self-esteem will increase your subjective financial knowledge. And when people are more confident in their financial knowledge, they will be more likely to initiate and persist with the doubting financial management process and have more responsible financial behavior. That has a lot of implication because sometimes some well-meaning financial education program, if they don't pay attention to the psychological factors, they may hurt the feelings of the individual, and then that may have a negative impact on financial behavior. So overall, you can see what we have been trying to do is to apply different areas, apply different theories in different areas to better understand financial literacy. So that's why I say the study on financial literacy needs to be interdisciplinary. We need the knowledge from education, finance, consumer behavior, psychology, even science. So, and the findings with the interdisciplinary perspective will have more useful insights for policymakers and educators. Yeah, that's all I want to talk. Thank you.
We'll take questions.
So in public health, one of the newest areas relatively is what we call the social determinants of health.
Okay.
So as you were talking, that's a section I would see missing. So the social determinants of financial behavior. If you are better educated, you're more likely to work at an institution that might put money into a retirement account for you. Whereas if you have less education, your employer may not have that kind of a benefit package. So there are other components that may come into your financial behavior that have nothing to do with your knowledge, but have more to do with the social determinants that may feed into your behavior.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's a great point. So that's when I mentioned the model. So no matter it's health knowledge, health behavior, or financial behavior, before I think the previous study mainly focused on the knowledge. But we find behavior is not only determined by knowledge, it's by social and a lot of psychological factors. And personally, I believe for financial literacy, this part, at least when I go over the literature, I find there are programs already realize the importance of parental involvement. I saw programs involve the parents, but for the psychological factors, I don't see a lot. I don't see people try to consider the psychological characteristics development in their model, in their financial literacy program. So not only social, but psychological factors need to be emphasized in the future financial literacy design and research.
Yeah, so maybe a little related. So I really is interesting in how you see that interdisciplinary. I was wondering if political science should also come into here, because what I noticed is that maybe the fact that maybe there's so little savings has to do with the minimum wage that we have here. I was recently in Hong Kong where the minimum wage is like $4 an hour, and there's even less savings for retirements. So I think the whole political aspect is probably very important there also.
Yeah, thank you for the good point. Yeah, I didn't control that in the model, although I control for the income. But yeah, that's the political, the social factors should be included in the model in future. Yeah.
In economics, a fundamental assumption is that of a rational actor. This seems to really throw water on that quite a bit. You've got a lot of things here that aren't rational at all, psychological factors, etc. So in the business world that you move in, how does one think about those two issues, rational actors versus the real world, so to speak?
So in the business research in general, actually we have the classic model trying to use different economic or finance model to predict the future. And the biggest assumption is we assume human beings are rational. However, there's a new area of research we call behavior finance or behavior economics. So they challenge the assumption. We say the model cannot predict the reality so well because people are not rational. And I don't think that this new line of research is trying to challenge the old model. They're just trying to explain why there is a gap between the prediction of the classic model and the reality, and that's because of psychological factors.
Okay, thank you.
So, if you want to be really interdisciplinary and bring biology into it, so a lot of times in populations you have genes that are deleterious that are carried around as alleles because they serve a real purpose in the population. I'm wondering, what, and I can think of a lot, by the way, what positive purposes does financial literacy carry in a population of people? Have you thought about that much? And what causes that to persist and even thrive in a population? I'm thinking corporations and all sorts of people that benefit off of this.
I didn't think that way, but in my future research project, one of the area I'm very interested in is we have a line of research called nature versus nurture. So they're trying to compare the genetic versus environmental impact on financial behavior. A lot of scientists, they identified genes that will cause more behavioral bias. And I think that's a very interesting research area. It's very new, and it needs the background from finance, from behavior finance, from science. And I think if we can identify the genetic impacts, the factors, it will help us to improve financial behavior as well. Thank you.